Seeking a thread. It's been a few days, weeks. Life has been in the way. A lot going on for me and in people in my life. Everything's okay. And I've sort of in between a few ideas for videos. Working on a couple things. They're kind of slowly coming together. But this one came together when was it? About 2 weeks ago. That's how long I've been planning to do this one. This is all music that heals. These records will heal. And this is about music that I see as sort of stuff I've touched on before. Relaxing, meditative, spiritual, but stuff that I feel has a real healing quality to it. And there's a few records that really drove this to sort of have me dig in and see what else made sense in this regard. The main reason this has come up was, I'm getting texts from some of you, and the main reason this came up, my good friend Adam, who plays in the band I'm in, Material Objects, was hit by a truck here in Ithaca. Yeah, it sounds terrible. Fortunately, he was basically skimmed by a truck and he got pretty badly injured. Not so much that he didn't have to stay in the hospital more than a day, but he already has some chronic and degenerative back pain, so it put him into a state of not being able to leave a bed. And obviously we had to change plans for the show. I had a show this past Friday. We had to have a fill-in bass player, which went well. And maybe I'll show some pictures of that. But he is recovering and not able to work, so we started a GoFundMe for him, raised money for him, and that's gone well. And so I've been thinking about sort of healing music for my friend Adam, who's in need. And one of the first things that came to mind was the Spacemen 3, a band that's certainly been touched on in the VC. This record in particular, number one, because he gave it to me years ago, and this is the Transparent Radiation EP, their second EP, although this is hardly what you'd call an EP. It's like 40 minutes long. It features their cover of Red Crayola's Transparent Radiation in two different takes. Now the first side is all of the sort of more meditative and really like stony Spacemen 3, and that's kind of the stuff I'll focus on. This is the Fire reissue, by the way, which is actually hard to get now too. The original is on glass. With Spacemen 3 I have a mix of originals and reissues, so I don't know if Stunty's shown this one. I know he's obviously a huge fan, but the Transparent Radiation flashback or the is just beautiful, and the Ecstasy Symphony on this, like the whole first side is like 20 minutes, and then it's like a 40-minute side or 40-minute EP. So really an album, but the Ecstasy Symphony is longer than what's on the Perfect Prescription, so this is an essential Spacemen 3 record to have. The B-side is Things Will Never Be the Same, and then a cover of sort of MC5 Sun Ra cover of Starship. And this record is healing. I these guys were certainly, narcotics users, we'll say, but their music has a very healing quality to it. And I think, this one's important for Adam and also for our friend, his bandmate from years ago, and my friend Jeff Valla, who was essentially a Spacemen 3 disciple and spiritualized too. I'll insert a picture here that talks about that or explains that, but he passed away from a brain tumor while studying in India 5 years ago, and so Spacemen 3 is really important to us, Adam, and our deceased friend. So it's all sort of in the mix there. It's like really important spiritual music for us. So this is the record I want to dedicate to the healing idea. Spacemen 3 Transparent Radiation from 1987. Great band, of course. I'll tell you what we're playing when we get to it. Coffee. Here's another one that's kind of a VC favorite, but it just has to be in here. For me, the first solo album by Bennie Maupin, The Jewel and the Lotus on ECM. Just an extensive, lush, cosmic record. The second track, Maupin, is the one that sort of gets you to the high that we're talking about, that I'm talking about here. And this healing idea. This is essentially the Mawandishi band. Herbie Hancock's on here. Buster Williams, Billy Hart, Bill Summers, and Charles Sullivan, trumpeter. But it's Maupin, really, who's the star here. Reeds and some boys glockenspiel. This is the American press on ECM. I was looking this up. I don't believe there's a more recent reissue. Maybe there is. I don't know what the story is. This one needs to be in everyone's collection, and it is in a fair amount of yours collection. I know that. This just appeals to lovers of avant-garde jazz, ambient music. Jazz funk, although it's not really a jazz funk LP. But I find this record that sort of just drops the hammer and sort of just sinks me in my chair and makes me feel good. From 1974, Jewel and the Lotus, Bennie Maupin. Here's one that's related to the next record I'll show, Natural Information Society, with the Bitchin Bajas, a favorite right now. Cooper Crane and who's the other? I think it's essentially Cooper Crane and Ben Boy, I believe it's Cooper Crane is essentially Bitchin Bajas, but Natural Information Society is the main people are Lisa Alvarado, Josh Abrams, Emmett Kelly, who also did some time with Bonnie Prince Billy and other Drag City releases, as well as his own records. This is mastered by Bashad Becker. That's good. A nice silkscreen cover similar to the Sun Ra, Switched on Ra. There's a new edition of this with a different sleeve, I think, and a different silkscreen sleeve on Drag City, trademark quality. As my friend Adam, who was injured, likes to say, the greatest label on land and or water. But this is called Autoimaginary, and the release. This has got to be. Yes, the date's not handy, but we're talking 4 or 5 years now on this. In print right now with Drag City. I highly recommend this. It, again, healing, pulsating, sort of mind-enhancing. We'll talk about mind in a second. The Oh No fade at first side is a blissful beauty. Natural Information Society, I'm working on collecting all their records. I'm missing one that is out of print. Hopefully it gets repressed. And same with the Joshua Abrams stuff. I'm really after all those as much as I can get. There's a lot of Josh Abrams related things. And he turns up in a lot of places you might not expect. Yeah, if you like that cosmic jazz, free jazz, ambience, experimentalism, you need to check out the Natural Information Society. A little more sort of jazz than avant-garde, but with Bitchin Bajas on this, you're going to get that sort of analog synth sort of thing that they do. Autoimaginary. And this is what we're listening to here coming up. Mostly shown these records, I think, for the most part. Some I haven't. Actually, there's a bunch I haven't. This is Mind Maintenance, and that's what we've got going on with Joshua Abrams and Chad Taylor. Abrams playing the Guimbri, one of his preferred instruments, as well as upright bass. Chad Taylor, the Mbira. And this is essentially a Natural Information Society project. The artwork done by Lisa Alvarado, who's in that band. And this is also on Drag City. And this came out in 2020, I think it was. And you should seek this one out too. You're listening to it. It's healing for me. It's instrumental, no vocals to this, just the two. Mixed by Cooper Crane of Bitchin Bajas, so it's a similar sort of a companion piece to the record I just showed. Mind Maintenance, a self-titled record on Drag City. This record will heal you from everything. Well, maybe not everything, but it's going to make you feel good. Here's one I posted on Instagram, a different thing now, more akin to the Spacemen 3. Yume Bitsu, the Golden Vessyl of Sound, from 2002. Now this is like a sort of Berlin School space rock record, but more lo-fi and scrappy. It's on the K label, so that kind of gives you an idea. Only one pressing of this. It's one of these things that like you won't find too often, but eventually someone will list it for like $15, and that's when I got it. I've had this on my want list because I've had the CD since it came out in 2002. I've never had the record until a few weeks ago. Someone put it up for, I think, $18. So it was the kind of thing people were asking for 30, 40. I was like, nah, no. I'm going to wait. This is not something that's rare or that a lot of people are looking for, but it is a wonderful space rock. Sparse vocals, it's all untitled tracks, but it is the main foil of Adam Faulkner, who's here. And this is Franz, what's his name? Franz something or other. Adam Faulkner does a bunch of stuff. White Rainbow, Service Vessyl, Version, Franz Pritchard. Mostly a lot of guitars and synthesizers and things, and there's some clarinet and trombone in here too. Yeah, it's like an unheralded, unheard, I'll call it a space rock classic. Yume Bitsu, the Golden Vessyl of Sound on the K label, 2002. Look into this guy. I mean, this is a whole little mini scene. There's another band called Landing that he had some associations with. It's like 4 or 5 bands of that, I think from Portland, Pacific Northwest, that a lot of people either missed or just don't remember. And White Rainbow, I think I mentioned, is another one, sort of another offshoot. But there's a lot. This is a cool sound and a cool time frame of music of the early to mid aughts, with a sort of nouveau psychedelia, a little bit of folk. Yeah, kind of that time where people were talking about like freak folk or anti-folk, which I wasn't really sort of a fan of that term, but great. Yume Bitsu. This next one is a super special one, and another one that has been shown. I first discovered this record from an Instagram post by Brandon, aka Faust in the Head, and since then lots of people have shown it or talked about it or discussed it, including most recently Sherv, Motorek 247, Alex has shown this, a few others, but if you don't know, it's Valentina, Goncharova, Ocean. So this was one of my favorite records of last year. However, I knew it was good and I was enough to put it in my list, but I probably didn't hear it and process as much as I should until this year. As I do, I have a pile of records that I've only heard once or twice that I want to hear again before I file, and I'm listening to it again, and I was in the right space where this thing just floored me. Now, Valentina Goncharova is an Estonian string violinist, viola, I believe, as well, cello. And this is an archival recording, never before been released, from the late 80s. Symphony for electric violin and other instruments. Now, she shows other musicians here, but I believe she's overdubbing and doing all of this. I can't quite find the information, and even though it comes with beautiful information, a booklet, I mean, like a box set quality booklet here. that shows the different kind of instruments he's using. It's all improvised. And from Estonia, this is on the Hidden Harmony label. And it's just the most beautiful record, and in particular, the Ohm on the end of side 3 is a special piece of music. I've listened to that in this year maybe 3 or 4 times, and each time, except for, well, 3 of the 4 times, tears gushing out of me. It's almost as if it's like leaching the tears out of me, leaching out all of this emotion and heavy duty. Like, I know this is like intense that I'm telling you this, but it's true. That track Ohm is, if there is a heaven, and I don't even know if there is, but if there is something like a heaven, this is the music you're going to hear when you go up there, ascending into heaven. Ohm. And it's overdubbed, it's vocal, it's violin, and I don't know what the percussive instrument is. It sounds kind of like an African instrument like we're hearing, but it just unearths stuff and it pulls it out, and I just tears, just gushing, just like, holy crap, this is just so heavy duty. And you turn this thing up loud and you're gonna feel it. At least I did. The final track, Return to the Ocean, is what she recorded, the only thing recorded recently, 2021. That's lovely too, super lovely. The whole thing's lovely. There's some parts that are a little noisy, but mostly this is a very lush, beautiful, healing listen. This is still available, and it's not cheap, but the quality of this is super heavy duty, as Sherv noted. Everyone should have this, I say. And I actually just got one of the archival records that I knew about previously that I missed. I don't have it in front of me, but it's one of the 2 archival records, volume 1 and 2. They're repressing one, which I have on pre-order, and the other one I was able to get used from for a cheap price, or a reasonable price. The ones with her on the cover, the white covers. I'll insert the image here. Valentina Goncharova, Ocean, Symphony for electric violin, 10 plus parts, from 2022. Okay, a few more. Vashti Bunyan, her second album from 2005. Yes, the first one was from 1970-71. This one on DiCristina, produced by Max Richter, is just as good. You have Joanna Newsom on this, Max Richter contributing. The track If I Were is just beautiful. The combination of harp and electronics and her voice, it's just, she's really stretching her wings on this. Like, it really complements what she does perfectly. Lookaftering is the name of this. I think it's 2005. If you love Just Another Diamond Day, you really owe it to yourself to check this one out. The other one, was it Heart Songs, I think it is? The third album, the black cover, is also good, but nowhere near as good as this, if you ask me. Yeah, I think Devendra Banhart's on this as well. Let's see, we have the players in here somewhere, yeah. All songs written by Vashti, produced by Max Richter, arranged by Max Richter. Yeah, the players they're mixed in. In any case, I've mentioned the main players, Joanna Newsom, Devendra Banhart. Oh, Adem is on here. Beautiful. Here's a prime one for me that goes way back, that I always think of it in this way, from 1980, Ambient 3, or Laraaji's first solo album on EG, produced by Eno, really recorded by Eno. This is a Laraaji record, though. It's under the Eno sort of umbrella. It's comprised of 3 movements of dance and meditation. This is the American EG. This is like a super minty copy, which you need to have. The zither that Laraaji does here, it's just heavenly. Absolutely heavenly. there's not a whole lot to describe with this. It's just very spacious. It does deserve to be in this ambient series because it's got patience and space and lushness to it. But it's definitely, a little weirder and a little sort of more out there than what Eno was contributing to this. But I guess the story goes that Eno discovered him on the streets busking in New York, so that's the legend. I think that's true. And this is the result. Day of Radiance, Ambient 3. There is a reissue. I don't know if it's in print, but you should all know this record. I'm not showing anything terribly obscure. Here is another one, very different. The Staple Singers, one of the many early Staple Singers records. This is technically a compilation of early VJ singles. It's one of the earliest LPs, though. Very hard to find these early in nice shape, although this one we'll call this a solid VG. What a lovely cover that is. Will the Circle Be Unbroken? Just the combination of Pop's guitar and Mavis Purvis and the other two on VJ. These are the kind of records that you can find cheap copies. They're just never in nice shape. This is a deep groove on VJ. I had to wait out quite a long time to find this, and found this at an antique mall actually for fair price. Pretty fair price. Staple Singers is early 60s. I think this is 63. I mean, their melodies and harmonies are so good, and it's just knowing that they were coming from a place of sort of hardship and sort of faith and all that stuff is inspiring and healing in its own way. Just this is, as gospel music and soul can often feel. Lovely, though. I mean, I have all of the early Staple Singer stuff. It's very important to me. It just puts my mind where it needs to be. Staple Singers, wonderful music. That's the other thing. These records at this time can be a little rough, but because the pressing quality and the material they were using is strong, they sound great, even if they have a little surface noise. This one's pretty clean. So, Will the Circle Be Unbroken features that song Don't Knock. You'll know that one. Pray On, Let's Go Home. And the last one I'm going to show as we finish up this mind maintenance side. Yes, the band I keep alluding to that I'm going to do a feature on, and that is what I am currently working on. Woo, their 1990 record, and the only edition on vinyl, because it originally was a cassette, Into the Heart of Love, a band that I'm not going to talk a ton about because I want you to keep that, put a pin in that for the feature, because it's going to be, I'm trying a few interesting things with that. This is in many ways one of the favorites for people. Not my favorite, but I absolutely love it. It has some super intimate, at this time they were still recording in their apartment. They had to be quiet because they were recording so late at night, and there's such a quietness to it and a gentleness, but not because they wanted to produce that kind of music, but also because they had to be quiet, and you're hearing that on this. Mark is the guitarist and clarinetist, and just what they were doing essentially was putting clarinet and guitar, inputting that into the synthesizer that Clive was playing, and that would give it would allow him to manipulate in real time, much like Eno and Fripp and Eno would do, but in their own way. A very sort of, it's just sort of just heartwarming in a way that these two brothers recording late into the night in South London or outside of London, and creating music that is just completely otherworldly, sounds like nothing else. It's ambient prog, it's jazz, it's sort of lo-fi, it really comprises everything. This is the first vinyl issue on the Emotional Rescue label, a label I like quite a bit. Hella good. Just a great cover. Very much like a sort of like an image you'd see in your mind as you repeat your mantra. Yeah, Frog's Fandango. Look that one up. I'm going to put in music for all these records. But again, this is Into the Heart of Love. I think this is effectively their third album from 1990. Originally, I guess it was self-released, but released on Emotional Rescue. And that's all the records I have, healing music. And I hope everyone found something that they didn't know or likes, or maybe you have some ideas that maybe this is a thread people want to join in on. I don't know. It's pretty subjective. We could do this all day long. Probably I could have probably picked other things. But I hope that was fun and interesting for you, and I hope you found something you liked. I'll be back with you soon. I'll talk to you in the comments, and everyone's good, everyone's well. Let's hope that that's the case. I'll see you soon.